Hello everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everyone for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much to everybody who's listening right now in the podcast. Today is Tuesday, April 29, 2025. I needed to come here and tell you something that happened at a Carnival cruise ship, okay? Before I continue, I want to say thank you to everybody who's listening right now using Spotify. Don't forget to follow me there. And everybody who's watching this video right now on YouTube, thank you so much for being here. So I'm not a big travel person, and when I see something like this happen, okay, I'm like, see, that's the reason why I don't like any of that stuff. Not a big. I don't think I gone into inside of a ship. I think one time living in the Dominican Republic, there was a ship that came, and it was like a store that you were able to go and tour the ship and all of that, and I loved it, but I never picture myself like going into the water in the like in a cruise. I know a lot of people that's like their thing, and that's what you like to do. Then that's good for you. I'm not a fan of any of that stuff. Um, and like I said, I never been to it. But let me tell you, something very crazy happened. Dozens of people, okay, were put on do not sell lists after a massive brawl that breaks out on a Carnival cruise ship, okay? How terrifying is that? And the reason that I say this, I understand that, I mean, cruise ships are like a big thing among like people with family, like young children, and also senior citizens. They do that. On TikTok, you can see a lot of blogs about solo travelers and things like this. And imagine, this a massive brawl that will break in, right? And I also get very concerned when it comes to the cruise ship because weather is such a big factor on this, right? And then, there have been incidents where people are recording how, as they were in their cruise, there was like a storm that broke out, unexpected. So a lot of the times, when they travel from port to port, and it's just things like this that will come, right? And I think when you are not out in the water, you are able to deal with them more easily, right? Especially when there is like an issue when fighting a massive group of people, fighting with each other and things like that. You call the authorities and they kind of like remove the problem away. Here it's like where are they gonna go, right? I understand also that there are like jails in cruise ships. I think it depends how big they are, and there's also security, of course, but things like this are meant to happen, right? Where there's always like some type of issue. I mean, look at everybody how they drive, right? There's always like road rage. But let me tell you exactly what happened here. A disturbing video has captured the moment a massive brawl broke out among Carnival cruise ship passengers in Texas, resulting in more than a dozen people being banned from the cruise liner for life. Okay, um, I can understand the cruise ship is like, okay, you're never coming in one of our ships and all of that, but it's not like, oh, for who I'm thinking about is so crazy. I'm thinking about Will Smith, who got banned from the Oscars for 10 years, right? The cruise line is saying, you guys are never coming back in one of our ships ever, right? And the do not sell list, I never knew that existed, right? I know in the Interpol will have like list like of people that they're on the do not fly list and things like this. I never thought of I didn't know like there was like a list of do not sell lists, right? But apparently this is what they're doing to these people that were involved, right? The violence erupted as scores of passengers were disembarking from Carnival Jubilee when it docked in Galveston on Saturday following a week-long Caribbean jaunt, according to the footage shared on social media. It went down this morning, said Trailray, who shared the clip on Facebook. The violence erupted just as they were coming back, after all the fun and games that you guys are going to fight. That's crazy. Like, I understand going on a cruise ship is like somebody's favorite thing to do. Like I say, it's very popular among a lot of people. Like they look forward to that every year, sometimes every 6 months. Some people even try. They live on cruises, or they like do it for work and they love it. I just, it for me, it had never caught my attention. I guess I do get a lot of motion sickness. That's probably one of the reasons why I don't like stuff like that. But it says here, at one point, a man was shoved to the floor before a handful of others started violently pummeling him. Multiple security guards could be seen running towards the pack, but they were unable to immediately curb the melee. Several open suitcases could be seen scattered among the terminal in the aftermath. Quote-unquote says here, the incident occurred in the debarkation area under the authority of U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, a Carnival cruise spokesperson said. The matter was turned over law enforcement. We will not tolerate such behavior, and 24 people have been placed on do not sell list. Okay, now they're going to suffer the consequences for their actions. Okay, I mean, you were this close, right? You were this close. You have fun for a whole week. You're just returning back, and if nobody can control themselves, they have to argue and they have to fight, and everybody else has to get involved, right? Um, the matter has been okay. So I told you that already. At least one person was arrested over the ordeal. Police say it was not immediately clear what had started the ruckus or what charges those arrested were facing. Of course, it's never clear, because when you see groups of people fighting like this, it's usually just one simple problem that could easily been avoided, but then somebody gets involved and it's like, I don't like how they talk like that, and what do you mean? And then it's like, I guess everybody's so excited to return back home, and they couldn't wait, or people were taking too long, or it was just after all of that, right? Let me just see here what people are saying in the chat. Somebody posted, right? I used to cruise back in the 90s. It was such a pleasant experience when everybody got dressed up to go to dinner, and everyone was also treated with respect. Rules were enforced. You could not pay me to cruise these days. And some people are saying not every cruise line experiences this behavior. And that's true. That's true. But then you have, big cruise lines that are, very popular, right? If you're not familiar with cruises like I am, but I know Carnival is very familiar, and I will be like, well, if that day comes when I'm like, okay, let's go on a cruise, I'll be like, let's go to Carnival because everybody talks about it and it's the most popular, right? I don't know what other one will be out there. I'm sure another one will come to mind, but you always pick the one that is the most popular that people use, because you have to think about it. You're actually going into in the sea, right? In this vessel, and like, you're not gonna pick an unknown cruise liner that is just starting out, right? You might have some questions about it, right? So it's just crazy that it had to go through this. Let me just see. And like I always tell you guys, it got caught on it got caught on video. It was posted on social media, went viral. I have not seen the video. I just saw like a still shot of it, and you can see a massive group of people, right? And what I was saying in the beginning of this episode is that I'm sure it's terrifying if you're traveling solo to experience something like this. If you're traveling with small children, for them to go to experience something like this, right? Even if they're not necessarily the parents being involved in the fight, but to see this kind of like chaotic scene, right? I'm sure it will be like traumatizing for children to see something like this, right? It is scary for an adult. Imagine the children, right? They will never forget it. Um, So it says here that passengers had just disembarked a 7-day Western Caribbean cruise on Carnival Jubilee when the fire broke out. So this is just crazy, you guys. That's what I was saying. So I think I had made a mistake here. So they were just about to go on the 7th day. They were just about to go, and now they, One thing also, I mean, I know if you're listening to this or watching this video, I'm sure you have a lot of experience in cruise liners and things like this. One thing that's also terrifies me about this stuff is like when everybody has their time to kind of return to the ship, when they reach a new city and they get a chance to go out and things like that, to go shopping or whatever, and then they have a time frame to come back. Because I had heard, like, oh, you know what? But I've seen this a lot in the show, The Amazing Race or something like this, and you will see how it was so important. I don't know if they were like racing with a cruise ship or something, but I remember I think it was that show. One of the biggest thing for me is like the timing about returning back to the ship, right? Because you can get like distracted and things like this, and normally they will just leave, okay? And there you are, like stranded somewhere, right? Somewhere that was in your itinerary, like oh, they were gonna go to this country, where it would be so nice to see it. And then by one mistake of a taxi or like a bus returning back to the port, and then there you are stranded, the ship left without you, and there's nothing you can do other than just like prepare yourself to handle, travel arrangements to return back home. That's my thing. Like I will hate that, right? But anyways, you guys, now we know that there is a do not sell list, and people can get put on that, and people can actually get banned for life. I understand, like I said, people can get banned from like Walmarts and like grocery stores and like department stores and things like this if there's an issue. But I never thought like they're not playing, right? You're not gonna come and do this craziness here, and they don't tolerate it. Now those people, 24 of them, have been banned for life. Okay, let me know, everybody, what you think about this. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back to my channel. Thank you to everybody who's listening in the podcast. Have a good day, everybody. God bless.